So we're going to go back now and have a look at what Peter Sewell went on to continue to say about the standard template and the suggestions that he made to tweak it, given a statement that he queried, which was essentially saying nothing could go wrong with Horizon, if I paraphrase it. Let's take a look. Sharing the standard template isn't necessarily an issue, but obviously shows that they wanted to get their statements in line with each other, and or the fact that they were having to provide so many witness statements, they needed a more efficient process to do it, which again might start ringing alarm bells. Why there's so many witness statements and so many prosecutions? I guess it's easier to look back in hindsight, but we'll continue.
If we perhaps turn to page 4, this is a slightly different version to the one we saw with an earlier witness, and it has the following form of words about halfway down the page. It says as follows: I have access to reports that monitor faults, polling failures, equipment failures, and calls for advice and guidance logged by the Horizon System Help Desk. During and I think those question marks, did you understand those to be part of the pro forma that you would fill in?
I think that's the dates that were inserted when somebody was filling in the witness statement.
There were, and then X number of calls from, and then that's the place to insert the branch details, is it?
Yes, looks like it to me.
To the help desk. None of these calls relate to faults which would have had an effect on the integrity of the information held on the system.
Now, you see, this is where it gets potentially a little bit suspicious. So if we focus on that last bit, none of these calls relate to faults which would have an effect on the integrity of the information held on the system. Well, we can clearly see here parts which should be replaced. So dates, number of calls, and the name, and presumably some kind of employee code for either the person that I think they're suggesting there that this statement relates to, so the sub postmaster maybe, or the person on the help desk, although you would think it wasn't the same person answering every call from the same person during a specific set of dates. But anyway, the things in bold are due to be replaced. The thing which catches the attention here is none of these calls relate to faults which would have an effect on the integrity of the information held on the system. Essentially, they're saying Horizon's right. So if there's a shortfall, they must have taken the money. That's how I'm reading it. But the fact that this isn't due to be replaced and this is being sent, because it's not in bold, that's just a statement of fact, goes back to the situation of completely refuting that there's any issues in Horizon whatsoever. Surely there was the potential for things to come up where there might have been a prosecution case where they have to provide a witness statement where there was a question on integrity. So including this in the standard template seems a bit suspicious from that point of view.
If we scroll down this statement over to page 7, please. At page 7, there's another standard form of words that we have looked at already this week, which is as follows: there is no reason to believe that the information in this statement is inaccurate because of the improper use of the computer. To the best of my knowledge and belief, at all material times, the computer was operating properly, or if not, any respect in which it was not operating properly or was out of operation was not such as to affect the information held on it.
Wow. So again there, the re-emphasising Horizon is right. There's no faults, but careful wording here. There's no faults as far as I am aware. Well, we know from the Horizon bug reports that surely the people in the security team should have been aware of these calls that were coming in and the tickets that were logged on the service desk. In the previous video, we looked at a ticket relating to the doubling of Horizon shortfalls from 1999. By now, we are in the year 2005, so 6 years later. And, Alan Bates first raised an issue with Horizon similar to that bug report in the year 2000. So it surely feels like that could have been flagged, certainly to the security team, or that they had knowledge of it. But they're saying, but if it wasn't working, it had no effect on the information held on it. I.e., any shortfalls, it says it has. It absolutely has.
Can we please now go to FUJ 001222153? And this is an email from yourself to Penny Thomas. In the middle email, it says, Penny, what about the paragraph that starts, none of these faults relate to, etc.? Is this now acceptable to provide this response once we've examined fault logs? And her...
So a question from him. So he did respond to the email there. None of these faults relate to. Is this now acceptable to provide this response once we have examined fault logs? If they examine fault logs, it links back to the previous information that people have found where they're saying they didn't think the error handling was that great in Horizon. So whether the fault logs would have been as useful as they could have been if robust error handling had been implemented in Horizon, that's still to be determined.
Response was, I agree, I've scoured it out, I will now send to Graham Ward. Can you assist us with the question that you're asking her there?
I can't remember. I don't know.
I think we're going to hear that an awful lot. I mean, it was nearly 20 years ago. But you're not having to remember the words. It's like, what would you mean if you read this? Interesting.
That was 2006, 2005.
Yes, I mean, perhaps if we could put that middle email side by side with the document that I've just taken you to, so that's FUJ 001222152, please. And it's page 4 of that document. Just to assist you with the words that are in that middle email, we'll just show you the part of the statement that appears to be referring to. And that's FUJ 001222152, page 4.
Okay.
Thank you. So if we see there on the right-hand side, it's the second paragraph, the final sentence of that second paragraph. None of these calls relate to faults which would have had an effect on the integrity of the information held on the system. I appreciate it some time ago, but there certainly seems to have been some discussion at this time about the use of that sentence.
So he's querying there the inclusion of the none of these calls relate to faults which would have had any effect on the integrity of the information held on the system, which is a bold statement, which is the line that we flagged just in the discussion a few minutes ago. Let's see what he has to say.
I think, I don't really remember it, but I guess that I picked that out and thought, is that right to say that?
Is that right to say that? I mean, we know now it's not, so at least he's flagged it.
And the question seems, I mean, are you able to interpret your own words there, what you may mean by, is this now acceptable to provide this response?
I don't think I liked the way it was written, and that was it.
And we would guess by Penny's response, I agree, I've scoured it out, means I've deleted that line and sent it to Graham Ward. So presumably they mean at that point, and it's a bit of a bold statement to make, let's scrub it out, otherwise we could draw some attention to ourselves if that subsequently turns out not to be true. However, on the previous pages that we looked at, there did seem to be something very similar about, being to the best of our knowledge, there's no issues with the system. So whether removing that sentence had an effect on the overall witness statement is questionable.
Can we please now look at FUJ 001222153? Sorry, it's 154. Thank you. And if we turn to page 4, we can see, you'll recall, we just looked at Penny Thomas's email where she says she's removed it.
Right.
And if we turn to page 4, we can see that form of words has been removed from this pro forma. Can you see that? It's the second paragraph.
Yes.
So that was an analysis of Peter Sewell speaking about changes to the standard pro forma or witness template that was created at Fujitsu for providing evidence relating to Horizon data, auditing data from the system, saying that there couldn't be any issues. That was submitted to courts for evidence against the sub-postmasters in the private prosecutions undertaken by the Post Office. If we have a quick flick over to the petition for an update, we're now at 235,406 signatures. Thank you. In the last few minutes, Pauline, Sandra and Ian have signed. Thank you very much. Please keep sharing, signing and subscribing. Thank you.